You know, as we get older, life has a way of teaching us what truly matters: peace, happiness, and the relationships we hold dear. But here's something they don't always tell you. Sometimes, the key to maintaining that peace isn't just about sharing everything with your family. In fact, there are certain things, little secrets if you will, that might be better kept to yourself after 65. Not because you don't trust your loved ones, but because sharing them could unintentionally stir up worry, conflict, or even regret. Think about it. How many times have you shared something with your children or siblings, only to find them suddenly treating you differently? Maybe they start fussing over you more than you'd like, or worse, they begin making decisions for you that you never asked for. It's natural for family to want to protect us, but sometimes the best way to keep harmony in your life is to hold a few cards close to your chest. That's why today we're talking about the 5 secrets you might want to think twice before sharing with your family after 65. These aren't about deception, they're about wisdom, about knowing what to share and when, so you can enjoy your golden years with less stress and more joy. Now, let's start with the first one, and this might surprise you. C's, exact details of your financial situation. Money is one of those topics that can change relationships in an instant. You might think, well, my children should know how much I have in savings just in case. But here's the thing, once numbers are out in the open, expectations and assumptions can follow. For example, let's say you mention to your son or daughter that you've got a comfortable nest egg saved up. Suddenly, they might start worrying about how you're spending it, or worse, they might begin counting on it for their own future. On the flip side, if you share that money is tight, they could start making decisions for you out of concern, like insisting you move in with them or cutting back on things you actually enjoy. Now, this doesn't mean you should leave your family completely in the dark. It's smart to have a trusted person who knows where important documents are kept or who to contact in an emergency. But the day-to-day details, those might be better kept private. That way, you maintain control over your finances and your peace of mind. Ciao. Every little ache and pain. We've all been there. You wake up with a stiff back, or your knee acts up when it rains. It's normal to mention it in passing. But if you find yourself sharing every minor health hiccup with your family, it might do more harm than good. Why? Because loved ones tend to imagine the worst. A simple comment like, "My shoulder's been bothering me," can spiral into your daughter insisting you see 3 different specialists, or your grandson worrying you're not as strong as you used to be. Before you know it, everyone's treating you like you're fragile, even if you feel perfectly capable. Of course, if something serious is going on, you should absolutely seek help and let your family know. But the everyday aches, those are just part of life. Instead of focusing on them, try shifting the conversation to what you are doing well, whether it's gardening, walking, or even trying a new hobby. That way, your family sees you as vibrant and active, not defined by small discomforts. Now, these first 2 secrets are all about maintaining your independence and how others perceive you. But the next one, it's about protecting your emotional well-being in a way you might not expect. Past regrets or family resentments. We all have moments in life we wish we could do over. Choices we made, words we said, or opportunities we missed. And sometimes as we get older, the weight of those regrets feels heavier. It's tempting to want to unburden yourself by sharing them with your children or siblings, especially if those regrets involve them. But here's the risk. Reopening old wounds can stir up emotions you didn't intend. Your children might not remember events the way you do, or they might feel guilty for things they had no control over. Worse, it could lead to fresh arguments or misunderstandings when what you really want is peace. That doesn't mean you should bottle up your feelings entirely. Talking to a trusted friend, a therapist, or even writing in a journal can be incredibly healing. But when it comes to family, sometimes the kindest thing you can do for them and for yourself is to let the past stay in the past. Now, we've covered 3 important secrets so far: financial details, minor health complaints, and past regrets. Each of these, when shared too freely, can disrupt the harmony you've worked so hard to build in your later years. But there are 2 more that are just as important, and we'll dive into those next. One involves a decision many of us make without realizing the ripple effects, and the other, well, it's about protecting something far more personal than you might expect. So, let's keep going, because the more you know, the easier it becomes to enjoy the peaceful, fulfilling life you deserve. You know, there's a certain freedom that comes with age, the freedom to choose what truly matters, to let go of what doesn't, and to protect the peace you've earned. And sometimes that means being thoughtful about what you share, even with the people you love most. We've already talked about why it's wise to keep some financial details private, why not every ache and pain needs to be shared, and how. Past regrets might be better left in the past, but now let's talk about something a little different, something that might not even feel like a secret at first, but sharing it could lead to unnecessary interference in your life. Your SAD, exact plans for long-term care or end-of-life wishes. Now this one might sound surprising. After all, isn't it important for your family to know your wishes? Absolutely, but timing and context matter. If you're in good health and simply thinking ahead, sharing every detail of your long-term care preferences or funeral plans too early can sometimes do more harm than good. Here's why. When you bring up these topics out of the blue, especially if you're not in a situation where decisions need to be made immediately, it can create anxiety or even resistance. Your children might hear it as "Mom's preparing for the end," when in reality, you're just being practical. Suddenly, they might start treating you differently, hovering, worrying, or even dismissing your plans because they're not ready to face the idea. That doesn't mean you shouldn't plan ahead. In fact, it's one of the most responsible things you can do. But consider sharing the specifics only when it's necessary or when the conversation arises naturally. For now, you might simply let your family know you've thought about these things and have everything in order without diving into every detail. That way, you maintain control over the conversation and your peace of mind. Personal opinions about family members' life choices. This last one is delicate, but so important. As we get older, it's easy to feel like we've earned the right to speak our minds. After all, we've lived a lot of life. But when it comes to your children's or grandchildren's personal decisions, whether it's their career, relationships, or parenting style, sharing your unsolicited opinions can sometimes backfire. For example, maybe your daughter is raising her kids differently than you would, or your son has chosen a career path you don't quite understand. If you voice your concerns too strongly, even with the best intentions, it can create tension or make them defensive. Suddenly, family gatherings feel strained, or worse, they start distancing themselves to avoid conflict. That doesn't mean you have to pretend to agree with everything, but there's a difference between offering guidance when asked and imposing your views unasked. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is to let your family make their own mistakes, just like you did at their age. And who knows, they might surprise you. Now, we've covered 2 more important secrets: why it's wise to be cautious about sharing long-term care plans too soon, and why some personal opinions are better left unspoken. Each of these, in their own way, helps preserve the harmony and respect that keep family relationships strong. But there's still one more layer to this, something that ties all these secrets together in a way that might just change how you think about openness and privacy in your later years. It's not about keeping secrets out of fear, but about choosing what to share and when, so that your relationships remain as joyful and stress-free as possible. So, let's move forward. because the final piece of this puzzle might be the most liberating of all. You know, there's a quiet strength in knowing what to share and what to hold close. It's not about keeping walls up with the people you love, but about nurturing the kind of relationships that bring joy instead of worry, understanding instead of conflict. We've walked through some important truths together: why financial details are often best kept private, how sharing every minor health complaint can change how others see you, and why past regrets sometimes belong in the past. We've talked about the wisdom in timing conversations about long-term care and how withholding certain opinions can actually bring your family closer. But here's the heart of it all. These aren't really secrets. They're choices. Choices about how much weight to give certain things and how much space to leave for peace. Because after 65, you've earned the right to focus on what lifts you up, not what pulls you into unnecessary stress. So let's wrap this up with one final thought. Your peace is precious. It's the quiet mornings with your coffee, the laughter with old friends, the comfort of knowing your relationships are free of unnecessary complications. And protecting that peace, it's one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself and your family. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever held something back to keep the harmony in your family? Or maybe you've learned the hard way that some things are better left unsaid. Share your thoughts in the comments, because your experiences might help someone else navigate these waters with a little more grace. And if this resonated with you, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. We're all in this together, figuring out how to make these years the best they can be. Here's to living with wisdom, joy, and just the right amount of quiet discretion. After all, that's what a peaceful life is all about. Take care, my friend. I'll see you in the next one.